Today, I want to talk a little bit about a brand new game. This was suggested to me by a friend, and I jumped on in and had a pretty good time, so I want to pass off my opinion of this one. This is Scavengers, and it is in early access, so this isn't going to be a full review, but I just want to talk about the game as I've played it now. Today is July the 26th. They're expected to add a lot of updates as time goes on. We've already seen a few updates, and that's where I'm going to start. This game is a third-person shooter. It's heavily PvE, players versus everyone that means, with a little bit of PvP action thrown in there. A little bit of Battle Royale seasoning on top. It's kind of interesting, but the newest addition is actually a game mode that functions a lot like Zombies does in Call of Duty. It's a PvE scenario, it's a horde mode-esque sort of idea, where you and another person, or up to three I believe, a full squad, join a lobby that's just kind of a little outpost. It's similar to Nazi Zombies that way, where you're just tasked with defending a very small area. You can put up defenses and kind of supports around you to keep enemies out and to slow their advance. It's pretty simple, but it has a pretty fun loop. You destroy all the waves of enemies coming at you. Each one drops a little bit of data, and that data you can actually upload between rounds, and once you've uploaded enough data, it triggers a second stage where an escape ship of sorts lands. You have to fight your way to it and extract yourself out of the scenario. It's pretty simply explained, but there's a lot of little aspects to it. What kind of guns you're running, you're building your character, what character you're using. These all factor into what you're doing in that scenario. And those same characters are the ones that you use in the main game type, which is the one with the Battle Royale sauce. Now, it is not heavily Battle Royale, but there are many teams in the same little area. There's a circle around the map that shrinks as time goes on, forcing players together. That's where you get the PvP. But in the meantime, you are tasked with going through this map, killing NPCs, and collecting data again to put yourself at the top of the leaderboard. The team, which are teams of three, that has the most points, data by the end, and survives, that is the winner. That determines who wins. But in order to survive, you have to, first of all, gather a bunch of data. Secondly, survive enemy teams all the way to the end of the match. And thirdly, you have to board that escape vessel and survive long enough to see it launch you to safety. That's where a lot of the Battle Royale elements come in, as teams are fighting over the extraction. You could all get along and everybody boards the ship and you all just leave, but that is rarely how it works out. At the moment, there is only the singular map for the main expedition game mode, and that's kind of a letdown, but at the same time, it is quite a large map, something around the size of Call of Duty Warzone, that you have a hard time getting used to it, and finding really every nook and cranny is going to take a long time. So the map is definitely satisfactory, but I would like to see things added in the future, even if they update it weekly in the way that Fortnite does, where you just have changing elements of the map. That could be really cool as well. But at its grassroots, this game has a pretty solid idea going for it. It's fun to jump in there, even alone. You get paired with other teammates, but you don't really have to stick with them. Not exactly. So this game is accessible whether you're alone or with friends, but it has that kind of semi-competitive edge to it. where if you want to get good and you want to excel in combat and beat out other teams, you can just kind of jump into that and play it that way. If you want to be more in the shadows, a snake in the grass for most of the game, that's generally how I play, and that is very well supported as well. You can run and collect all your points, hide near the ship towards the end, and jump on at the last second. That could cheese your way into a victory. One last thing as far as gameplay goes, these characters that you select, there is a growing roster of them. You begin the game with 3 characters, and that fits very well because they're 3-man squads. You may end up being forced to take your least favorite character, but in any case, you play these games, you grind experience, and that character levels and becomes better for subsequent plays. You can also do this crafting thing where you're collecting items in each of your plays, and you can break those down between games and use those parts to create the blueprint of, say, a shotgun or a health pack, something of that sort. And then when you're in the next game, you can create those items that you've unlocked on the fly using some of your scrap that you find throughout the map. And that's really cool because it sets you up in a more comfortable way to play. I can jump in, create my sniper rifle, my health packs, and I am way better off than somebody who's jumping in for the first time. Now lastly, I want to touch on the kind of production aspects of this. The audio is quite forgettable. There are voice acting lines that are delivered throughout it and little quips between your different characters on the team, but there isn't a whole lot that kind of stood out to me in that aspect. The graphics certainly are not terrible, but they're not exactly super serious. They're not high definition look-alike models. It's got a sort of cartoony layer to it, a filter if you will, that just takes that aspect away, but I don't believe it looks ugly. It just doesn't look like a brand new next-gen release, and that's all. This game is in early access, and as such, it's not eligible for a full review score. But I had to share this one. I had a lot of fun with it, and it was suggested to me, so I now pass that suggestion off to you. I absolutely recommend this title. Check it out. Scavengers has a great blend of PvP and PvE elements. It is a fun new entry into the Battle Royale subgenre, and we definitely recommend this title.
You did well. I'm quite pleased.